The Newsday continues here on One News Now Business. I am Diego Castro. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. Finance Chief Ben Jokno says the Philippines is still aiming to get an A sovereign credit rating before the end of the Marcos administration, but notes that it has become more challenging to achieve this goal. Jokno says reaching an A sovereign credit rating is, quote, not a walk in the park, given uncertainties in the global markets. Moody's Investor Service rated the Philippines at Baa2. S&P Global Ratings, on the other hand, gave Manila a triple B+, which Fitch Ratings gave the Philippines a triple B. All three have assigned a stable outlook for the Philippines, indicating no changes may occur in the next 12 to 18 months. Jokno says an upgrade to an A rating will help with investor confidence and reduce the country's borrowing costs. Economists believe that economic growth in the second quarter likely slowed. A Business World survey of 21 economists yielded a median estimate of 6% growth domestic product or GDP growth for the April to June period. This projection is slightly lower than the first quarter's 6.4%. If realized, this would leave the average GDP at 6.2% in the first half, still within the government's 6 to 7% target for the year. The slower growth is attributed to inflation and high interest rates, which reduce household spending and capital formation. The PSA is set to report the second quarter GDP growth data on August 10. Here to talk to us about his outlook for second quarter GDP, we have with us on the show John Paolo Rivera, President and Chief Economist of Oikonomia Advisory and Research Incorporated. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And let's get right to it. You're part of this survey conducted by Business World. Tell us more about your projections and to what do you attribute this projected slower growth?
Well, I projected a 6% second quarter GDP growth rate for the Philippines, and this is actually driven by the persistence of a relatively high inflation and the persistent high levels of interest rate that actually constrains our households into spending more despite the existence of what we call revenge spending. And as a movement, revenge spending of many Filipino households is already slowing down because of depletion in savings and the fact that prices are remained to be elevated still.
And we had two strong typhoons that hit us recently. And of course, with the pronouncements of the government about the looming, the coming of the El Nino, do you think this will impact the GDP and it slow it down further?
Well, the existence of the El Nino, the natural calamities, will definitely affect the production levels of our country. However, we also have to consider that while this may slow down economic growth, there are also economic activities that are happening right now that can actually reverse that trend, such as the continuous heavy investment of the national government and the private sector, particularly on PPP spending on infrastructure and rail projects. This can offset the impacts of the typhoons in El Nino in slowing down our economy. That's why projections remain to be conservative, not really a drastic slowdown in our GDP growth.
Then do you still think that the government's full-year target of 6 to 7% is still achievable at this point?
Well, at this point in time, yes, it is still achievable, particularly because the holiday seasons are coming in, the Burr months are coming in, and we know that regardless of income of the households, the holidays is actually a perfect time that prompts spending. And as we all know, the Philippine economy is highly driven by consumption spending.
That's right. And BSP Governor Remolono says rice supply issues are threatening to reverse the downward trend in inflation. What's your outlook on inflation? What are the risks you're seeing? And do you think 2 to 4% target is achievable?
Yes, the 2 to 4% inflation rate target by the BSP is still manageable. It can still be achieved, provided that no further calamities or strong calamities will hit the country that will affect our agricultural supply chain. And number two, again, the fact that holiday seasons are coming in, consumption would tend to fuel up our economic growth for the rest of the year. However, as far as inflation is concerned, it can It is uncertain because of the effects of higher inflation, higher interest rate, the continuous consumption, and the existence of external factors that can actually prevent inflation from further slowing down as expected by our economic managers.
Can our economy still take another rate hike from the BSP?
Well, as far as rate hikes are concerned, I think a pause would be more lucrative given that we can see that in the short term to the medium term, economic growth is expected to slow down, and pausing at least or reducing the rate would actually fuel up consumption, especially that this can be coupled by the reduction in taxes, in
Okay.
income tax that will be experienced by our fellow Filipinos in the coming months to come.
Okay, and Finance Chief Jokno says there are challenges to achieving an A sovereign credit rating given the current global environment. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, the Philippine economy is quite conservative in this manner. Our stability, economic stability, our macroeconomic fundamentals are within the acceptable rates, and this will all depend on how we further manage our economy in the coming months up to the first quarter of 2024.
Okay.
So it's really up to us on how to stabilize and to maintain such credit ratings and even achieve a higher credit ratings given the performance of our economy, particularly in managing our inflation and growth prospects.
Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. But we do hope to talk to you soon. John Paolo Rivera, President and Chief Economist of Oikonomia Advisory and Research Incorporated.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on the One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The Securities and Exchange Commission warns the public against two unregistered entities soliciting investments. Among those identified is the B2B Trading Center, OPC, which is soliciting investments through its Go Diamond online program. The Commission says that while BNB Trading is registered with the Commission, it is not authorized to solicit investments from the public. The SEC also warned against Lebronify Authority Circle. The Commission says it is engaged in investment-taking activities under the guise of freelancing consultancy. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, is set to issue a notice of violation against a construction company for allegedly blocking the flow of traffic. The agency released a photo of the notice on August 5. They will be serving the work stoppage order to an unnamed company, which is involved in the LRT-1 North Extension project. The company is allegedly causing traffic congestion along the northbound lane of EDSA near SM North Annex. In a statement, MMDA Acting Chairman Romando Artes said the agency will not tolerate obstruction in any form. He also reminded contractors to clear construction sites at all times. Artes added that anyone impeding vehicular traffic flow will be penalized. Parts of EDSA are currently experiencing heavy traffic as road repairs continue. The Foreign Affairs Department is asserting the Philippines' sovereign rights over the Ayungin Shoal following the water cannon attack, which it described as serious. In a statement, the DFA stressed that the Ayungin Shoal is a low-tide elevation that is part of the Philippines' exclusive economic zone and continental shelf. The agency cited the 1982 UNCLOS as affirmed by the 2016 arbitral award at The Hague. The DFA adds that it shares the same concerns raised by the AFP and the PCG, both of which have earlier condemned the incident. The Foreign Affairs Department will hold a press conference later this afternoon to gather with key members of the National Task Force on the West Philippine Sea. And those are the top business stories of the hour. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.